What's going on, guys? Haven't did a video in a little while here, so just wanted to give you a quick update of some of the things the Lord's been revealing to me lately. I don't have much prophetic revelation per se in this specific video. I will refer back to the last couple videos that I've done, as I do believe that we are still in those specific time periods of prophetic revelation. Mainly, the walls closing in, us coming into those in the fire type of moments where you'll be forced to choose to walk the way of righteousness or to cower in fear. Much of the church will be put in this position, and everybody in the world, and that is already happening in many different levels. It's very easy to say when you're sitting in comfort with no issues going on and no tough decisions are having to be made. It's very easy to say, oh, I'll always make the right decision. But then all of a sudden you get into a position of, I may lose my job. My family is at jeopardy. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe it's just in your head that you think that they are when they really aren't, and you make this decision based upon the justification that you've made in your head. But at least the people of the Lord, the Spirit convicts. The Spirit of God moves through us and allows us to understand the line of right and wrong. When the Spirit of the Lord really comes upon us, when we start to get a real sense of what the Spirit is saying, and that comes from spending time with the Lord, we start to hear that Spirit a lot louder when we're spending time with Him, through prayer, through worship, through reading the Word, through devotion and meditation. When we really are pressing in and starting to have a strong sense of what the Spirit of God is saying, it helps us draw the line of distinction of right and wrong. We don't follow what the law says in regards to right and wrong. We follow what the Spirit of God says in regards to right and wrong. So we're in a season right now where many decisions are going to have to be made. People are going to get put in these really tough moments, in the fire type of moments, if they haven't already. And you will have to really press into what the Spirit of God is saying. Not what the mob is saying, not what the media is saying, not what even the law says in our government structure, if it goes against what the Spirit of God is saying to you. We must follow the Spirit of God in this season, no matter how hard that it is. Whether you serve jail time for it, whether you lose your job for it, whether you are hurt in any kind of way, emotionally or physically or mentally, or your family is put in a really tough bind or situation, we must follow the Spirit of God no matter what. These are the tests that are coming. And just like in my last video where we talked about the fire that Meshach, Shadrach, and Abendego had to go into, they came out promoted on the other side of it. Because they were tested in the fire, they came out without a hair singed on their head. They thought in their mind they were going to go into this fire and they were going to burn up and die, or, there was a possibility for them as they went in there. And just like today, where we could be faced with all these different situations and encounter for us and our family and others, we have these thoughts in our mind of what may happen. Oh, I lose my job, I won't be able to pay my rent. Oh, I lose my job, I won't be able to eat. Oh, I'm going to have to go to jail for my faith. So XYZ is going to happen. We could come up with all these, intellectual understandings in our mind, but we have got to throw those things out the window. If the Spirit of God is telling us to do something, we've got to hold fast to it. So that pivots into this next thing that I wanted to talk about nicely. Thank you, Lord, for that. For the last year, I have been going from the beginning of the Bible to the end of the Bible. I'm not there yet. but I'm going in chronological order. I got a chronological Bible, and I've been going through it very slowly in trying to, really grasp more, reread and reread, trying to build an understanding in myself, in my mind, in my spirit of what the Word of God is saying from beginning to all the way end. I'm trying to take that approach. I'm only at Numbers right now because I've been going through very slowly, and I do take certain other days to read other parts of the Bible. I'm not solely doing this. But this is what I have, this is what I've grasped so far while doing this, is that God will make his name known. One way or another, God will get his glory. And he uses specific people in order to get his glory. That is the foundational understanding as I go through this. And it starts, we could go back to Genesis and start all the way there, but I'm going to just start right here, where God in Genesis 12 makes a covenanted blessing with the line of Abraham. He enters into this covenanted agreement with Abraham and says that all that bless you will be blessed, all that curse you will be cursed. There will be many descendants that come from your name. You are the foundational patriarch of me. And wherever you go, the blessing is going to follow you, because that's in a covenanted agreement that we have together, that wherever you go, whatever you touch, there is a blessing there. And this is so important for us to come into our mind and spirit with, that we walk in a covenanted blessing with the Lord. No matter what happens, no matter if your life looks like you're not blessed, no matter what's going on of trials and tribulations, or what you think is good and what you think is bad, the covenanted blessing of the Lord is within you, is upon you, is around you. We walk in that covenanted blessing. And it goes through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All of them, wherever they went, they were blessed, they were covered, they were protected, they had authority, they had prosperity, they were covered from the Lord, and the blessing went with them wherever they went. Then it goes to Joseph, and we see Joseph goes into this moment where there's a lot of trials and tribulations on Joseph's life. But the blessing never left Joseph. Even though he was sold into slavery, he was a blessed man sold into slavery. Even though he was having to work in Potiphar's house, he was a blessed man having to work in Potiphar's house. Even though he was sent to jail, he was a blessed man that was in jail. And if you read through those chapters and books, you will see that the Potiphar's house was blessed because of Joseph. The jail was blessed because of Joseph. So wherever he went, that blessing was still there, even though that his specific situation and trials and tribulations, one could say, well, he's not blessed. Look what's happening. It's not true. He was still blessed. He was still walking in the covenanted blessing of the Lord. And then we ultimately know, if you know the story, that Joseph ended up ruling all of Egypt as Pharaoh's right-hand man. And all of Egypt was blessed, and all the other territory, all the other nations and tribes had to come to Egypt to get coverage for the famine that was going on. And it all came through Joseph's wisdom, the blessing of the Lord through Joseph, extending out to everybody else that was around him. Okay, and then so it goes from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. We see it in Joseph. And then we start to see it in the 12 tribes of Israel. And we go into this period of time where there's severe trials and tribulations of the people of the Lord in Egypt. The Pharaoh that Joseph was serving alongside of had left, and time had went by, and a new Pharaoh was in town. And the new Pharaoh in town looked out in the land and he said, there's Israelites everywhere. We've got to do something about this, because if we don't do something about it, one day they're going to rebel against us and take us over, and that's not a good thing. Well, the fact that Pharaoh said, look at all these Israelites out on the land, that is prophetic confirmation. If you go back to Genesis, even to Adam and Eve, into Noah, into Abraham, where God says that there's going to be many descendants through you, Abraham. There's going to be many, enough more than the stars in the sky are going to come from your line, Abraham. So this is confirmation now. God's word is being fulfilled when he looks out. Pharaoh looks out and he says, okay, we need to depopulate. And if you're following the current times that we're in right now, there is definitely a depopulation agenda when it comes to, this CO, VID, all that stuff. There's a depopulation agenda there. You could bring up Bill Gates. You could bring up global warming and all these other things right there. At the root of it is an agenda to depopulate, because they feel like they would have more control over the current period of time that we're in. They would have more control. These global elites would have more control if there was less people around. And that's the same exact spirit and mindset that this Pharaoh had at the time of the Israelites in Egypt. He looked out and he says, there's too many of them, too much for us to control and to remain in power over. We need to depopulate them. And they start throwing kids in the Nile River. And the story of Moses comes about, because these are still a blessed people. Even though these crazy things are happening, they're still a blessed people in the Lord. Seems hard to believe, but they are. They're a blessed people. And some time goes by. God, the birth of Moses happens, and his life is spared, and he grows up in Pharaoh's house. It's amazing. God's provision for this period of time, God's way that he's going to handle this period of time of evil is right under Pharaoh's nose, and he doesn't even know it. The kid is literally living under his own roof. Time goes by. Moses goes out, kills one of the Egyptians because he cannot take what he's seeing anymore. He runs into the wilderness. He sees God in the burning bush. He comes back, tells Israel, we're leaving Egypt now. Let's go. You guys are in slavery here. This is not the way that the Lord had. This is not what the Lord wanted. You're a blessed people. It's time to leave Egypt, and it's time to get out of here. And then we see this period where we see God glorifies his name through this whole entire thing. He consistently shows Pharaoh that he is with the Israelites and not with him through the different types of plagues. The plagues started to fall on Egypt and not Israel. Plagues would literally be split down the middle of, another prophetic word for right now, separating the wheat from the chaff. That was going on at that moment right there. God was showing who he was for and who he was against. And he was trying to let Pharaoh know that you can't mess with me, and that these are a blessed people, and I'm stepping in now, and you are not. So Pharaoh continues to say, no, the 10 plagues happen, and then the Israelites are on their way out of Egypt. And it even says that God says that he's going to get glory for his name through the Egyptians, not through just the Israelites of crossing the Red Sea, but because the Egyptians were going to get swarmed into the Red Sea and die in the Red Sea, God was going to get his glory in that, to show Pharaoh that I am the I am, and there's nothing that you could do to stop what I'm doing here. There's nothing that you can do about it. And this is another prophetic word for this season. Right after the election, I was given this word about the Red Sea and how God was going to have a Red Sea season, which parallels to a form of trapping. Because Pharaoh, it says in the Bible that Pharaoh was deceived, he was confused, his heart was hardened because he had rejected God. Romans 1, you could go into that about people that are revealed to God and they reject him, and then they're given over to a depraved mind. In Romans 1, it talks about that. Well, this was Pharaoh. His heart was hardened, and he looks out on the land and he says, "Oh, look at the Israelites. They're all chilling by the Red Sea. I'm going to go get them now." But he was being deceived by God. God tricked him. So Pharaoh and the Egyptians go down thinking that they're going to get the Israelites. They don't get the Israelites. They go into the Red Sea, and then the Red Sea closes up on them, and they get swallowed up. And I'm a believer that's a prophetic thing of the time period that we are in right now, where everything that is happening right now is a type of allowing the enemy to pursue what they want for the purposes of seeing a Red Sea collapse on them all at once. It is a trapping, not attacking type of mentality. The Red Sea didn't go after Pharaoh. Pharaoh walked into the Red Sea and it collapsed on him in the form of a trap. So that's what I believe that we are in right now, a type of season like that with global elites and fake presidents, all those kind of things like that. So they're still blessed. They're a blessed people here, and God gets his glory, and the Israelites cross. This is where I'm getting closer to the end here of where I'm at in Numbers. So at this point in time, the Israelites decide that they're not going to go into the promised land that God had given them because they're scared. They see the giants over there, and the giants scare most of them except for Caleb and Joshua. They were like, yo, let's go. Let's do it. God gave us the promise. We're a blessed people. Let's go in. 10 of them were not okay with it, so they end up circling around in the desert for 40 years. Well, in the beginning of this period, they started to pick off some of the kings that were in that land. And then they reached this moment where they're about to walk into the Moabite territory. And the king at the time is King Moab. The king of Moab is this guy named Balak. And Balak summons this guy named Balaam who practices divination in the land. You know, psychic stuff and witchcraft type of stuff. And he tells Balaam, he says, hey, put a cursing on the Israelites. And that means that Balak had in his mind that Balaam was able to curse God's blessed people. He was about to learn something, Balak was. Because Balaam, you know, there's ins and outs of all this story, and I'm going as quick as I can through the story, so this video is not like 2 hours long like some of the videos that I see online. So they, and I know there's many people that you guys want to listen to, and you know, honestly, you shouldn't be listening to like thousands of people online. Like, you got to get into the Lord yourself. You got to maybe pick out a few different people that you really appreciate listening to and that you receive fruit from, and you believe the Lord has, you know, sent you to, but stop clicking around everywhere. Anyhow, so Balaam shows up to Balak, and he says, okay, Balak, here's what God says about this. Because this is what I've been chewing on this here. Because it's like, wait a minute. So Balaam, the guy that practices divination, is talking to God? I'm trying to like walk through this. And my understanding that I've arrived at is that when you're talking about the evil realm, right? The evil realm, they're always turning on each other. They don't care about each other. They're just always turning on each other. So if the Israelites were not a blessed people and they were just another tribe of ites that were out there in the land, then Balak could go to Balaam. Like, let's say the Israelites were just Amorites or Jebusites. And Balak goes to Balaam and says, hey, I'm the Moabite king. I'm letting you know that these Amorites are in my land, and I want you to bring a curse upon them. Here's all this money. Bring a curse upon them. God, I believe, just steps back. He doesn't have anything to say there. If Balaam wants to profit and make money off of bringing curses upon evil tribes that are in certain lands, then that's what he does. That's all that happens there, right? So, because God is like, that's evil. They're all evil over there, bringing curses upon each other, fighting each other. They're eating their own. This is what evil does. But now, Balaam is getting ready to bring this curse upon the Israelites, and God is like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Now I have to intervene, because what you don't understand is that these are a blessed people. He literally says that they are a blessed people and you're not allowed to curse them. So Balaam tells Balak that you're not allowed to curse these people. I'm not allowed to curse these people because they're a blessed people. So Balaam gives 3 messages to Balak, and all 3 of messages are a blessing over the Israelites. So what we see here is we see the enemy literally offering everything that he has. I'll give you all the gold and silver in my palace, Balaam, if you just bring a curse upon these people. And Balaam was like, it doesn't matter what you give me. There is nothing that I can do to stop the blessing of the Lord upon these people, because they are a blessed people. I can't do anything about it. They're blessed wherever they go. They are covered and protected by the Lord. They walk with the blessing of the Lord. And Balak learned this, that there's nothing that you could do. Nothing you could do to stop the Israelites as far as cursing them. Right? We see the Israelites make plenty of mistakes along the way, breaking the covenant with God. And there's consequences for breaking that covenant. God always allows some type of form of restoration in the Old Testament through sacrifices and offerings. And then, of course, we know in the New Testament, God himself comes down as Jesus as the ultimate offering and sacrifice, so that we could receive forgiveness for sins and remain in that covenanted blessing with the Lord. But in this moment in time, just talking about the blessing here, Balaam was not able to curse the Israelites. And that is what I really want you to get a hold of in this season. That if you're walking in the covenanted blessing of the Lord, that there is nothing that the enemy can do to go after you. In fact, if the enemy tries to bring a curse upon you or go after you, God could increase your blessing even more. And that's what the New Testament says too. It talks about how the enemy plots against the wicked, plot against the righteous, and the Lord laughs upon it, because the righteous will prevail. They will always prevail. Talks about the wicked storing up wealth to one day be handed over to the righteous. That's another prophetic thing that I believe is happening in this season, where you see, just like with the Israelites leaving Egypt, they plundered the Egyptians on their way out, because they needed gold and silver and the things that they grabbed to form their own economy as they left. So that is another prophetic thing that I believe that's happening here, that as that Red Sea drops and as evil tries to bring a curse upon God's righteous people, it will backfire, like it has been continuing to backfire. Every single day we see them get exposed even more. The light continues to shine. Once judgment comes upon these people that are not repenting, it is the wicked they hand their wealth over to the righteous. I believe that those things are happening. We walk in the blessing of the Lord. Remember that in this season, that you walk in the blessing of the Lord. Wherever you go, you are blessed. And that blessing, when you take that blessing and you open up the box of what's in the side of the blessing, there is shared authority. There is provision, there is protection, there is prosperity, there is wisdom, there is revelation, there is knowledge, there is goodness and kindness and joy and righteousness and peace and perseverance and courage and bravery. I mean, the blessing of the Lord. You open that box and there's all that's in there, and there's nothing that could stop it. So be confident today that you walk in the blessing of the Lord. And it was good talking to you guys. Okay, God bless. A lot of the other videos that I've dropped, we're still right there in that time period right now. So if you want to check those out, you're more than welcome to. Not the type of person to be like, oh, subscribe. I don't care if you don't subscribe. Like, if the Lord leads you to listen to what I have to say here, then great, because that's all that I'm doing. I'm just speaking whatever I believe the Lord wants to say here. So here's the video. Oh, God bless you guys, and stay encouraged in this season, because you are a blessed people of God. God bless.